In the last video, I introduced the concept of an index fund and how it's a great way to buy every single stock in a big list with minimal fees, maximum simplicity, and maximum diversity. And so the next question is, which index funds should you buy? Well, this is a look at the three major asset classes of a well-diversified global portfolio: US stocks, international stocks, and bonds. Here in the US, we describe non-US stocks as international. And so if you buy an index fund, one index fund of each of these types, you'll have what's called a 3-fund portfolio and a very well global diversified portfolio that basically guarantees you your fair share of global market growth. That portfolio looks a little bit like this. So this would be considered an aggressive portfolio. It's 90% stocks. You can see it's about 54% US stocks, 36% international stocks, and 10% bonds. It's considered aggressive because it's mostly stocks. And when you're young, you can see here, this is appropriate for like a 20 to 40-year-old or so. When you're young, you want most of your investments in stocks because they grow the fastest, but they do have the most volatility. And so the volatility doesn't really matter. So if the market were to drop by 50%, for example, like we had one of those market crashes when you're in your 20s, it's not a big deal because you're not retiring yet and you have a long time frame of investing going forward. But if you were 70, for example, you don't want the market to crash by 50% because now you're living off that money. You want to preserve your portfolio and have a good income. So if we fast forward, you can see this is a portfolio that like maybe a 60-year-old might have, more of like 30 or 40% bonds. Then if we fast forward again, this is like a portfolio that like a 75-year-old might have, 75 or 80% bonds. And so you might be asking yourself, okay, this is getting a little bit complicated. I have to buy 3 different index funds. I need to like rebalance them or reallocate them over the years. It's still relatively simple as far as investing goes, but there is an even simpler way. It's called the target date index fund. A target date index fund is a single index fund that you buy that has those 3 underlying funds inside of it. And you can see right here, this is a target date index fund that follows what's called a glide path. So basically, if you buy it with 50 years to go towards your retirement, then for the first 20 or 25 years or so, it's 90% stocks. And then it does start that slow march down towards bonds. And at your retirement age, it's about 50-50. And then when you're in your 70s, it's mostly bonds, wealth preservation, income producing, that sort of thing. Every target date fund is named after a year. So you can see this is a list of the ticker symbols of a bunch of different target date index funds. To choose yours, you would choose your birth year and then add 65. So for example, if you were born in 1988, you add 65 and you come up with 2053. There is no, they only come in 5-year increments. And so the closest, I actually like to round up. So you'd round up to 2055. And then if you use Vanguard as your brokerage, this would be your ticker symbol, VFFVX. So just to recap, a target date index fund is a simple way to buy a globally diversified portfolio. It's based on your age. So it's based on your age so that when you're young, it's very, very aggressive. And that starts that glide path towards bonds as you age. So that when you're old, your income is secure and producing income, or your investments are secure and producing income. They come in 5-year increments. And then to pick one, you just choose your birth year and add 65. So this right here is essentially an optimal way to invest. Buying and holding a target date index fund solves all these different problems of investing. It's like near optimal investing. It's a great way to do it. But we have one more question to answer. That question is, where do I put these index funds? You can't put them in your checking account or your savings account. We're going to answer that in the next video.